You like my gavel? All right, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Wayfinding and Branding Committee to order. It is 11:01 a.m. We do have a full quorum. First up is the adoption of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes? Y'all are so quiet. If hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Bob? All's in favor?
Aye.
Points to Derek for being enthusiastic. Next up is adoption of the previous minutes, the minutes from February 6th. Has everyone had a chance to read those? Does anyone have any changes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt the minutes from February 6th as presented? I'll give it to Will. All's in favor? Unanimous. Okay, so today, this meeting is really to talk about the wayfinding sign map, sign locations, content, and phasing. So I'm going to walk you all through the map. We're going to go item by item. I'm going to take some good notes here for anything you want to change. Let me go ahead. I'm going to share it on your screens. There it goes. All right, so let's first start with the destinations. Those are the yellow stars on the map. So first we have Village Hall, the Marvin Eford Park, Marvin Gardens, Firethorn, Marvin Ridge. We've got the 6 Mile Creek Greenway, which is just outside of Marvin, Marvin Elementary School. They've got the Crane store on here as a historic store and the Heritage District as a whole. Does anyone have any thoughts about any of those?
You need to add the middle school, and if we're going to do the high school and middle school, you should probably do Sandy Ridge because it's right kind of in there.
So yeah, we can definitely add Sandy Ridge, and we'll probably group the middle and high together as Marvin Ridge schools.
Are we saying that we will have these words up on a sign?
These won't be the exact words. They're, for example, with Firethorn, it's a private course. So probably if we're able to put it on a sign at all legally, under NCDOT's regulations, it would be listed as just golf course, for example. So this is not the exact wording. This is just the idea of what we want to put on the signs, not the exact wording. Oh, and make sure if you're asking questions, you have your microphone on, because it won't be caught on the audio.
So are we looking to highlight Publix, like point people to Publix?
So that one would be listed as shopping, most likely, on the signs. That's just right now, these got listed as Publix supermarket at Marvin Gardens. We would either say Marvin Gardens or we would probably just say shopping, because there's only so much we're allowed to put on the signs when it comes to private businesses. And those signs that say shopping would really drive people to that whole intersection at Providence and Newtown as a whole, and not just the Marvin Gardens corner.
I don't know how I feel about shopping signs. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I mean, why do we have to do that? Was that just spearheaded by the people that have businesses and they want traffic to go that way? Or
So you normally see shopping on a lot of these signs when it comes to downtown areas, and it's just so that people driving through, they know where to go if they're looking to shop. So essentially just to drive traffic to the businesses. So you're essentially supporting your local businesses through having something generic on the signs that just says shopping.
It also seems like it didn't have to be phase 1.
So these are destinations. This is not a phase. This is just in general the stuff that can be on the sign. This is not a specific sign right now. These are just the destinations that the signs would navigate to.
Right, but we don't have to label everything in Marvin right out of the gate.
So no, for example, right now we're talking about a farmer's market in the future. We don't have that now. We would make sure that any signs that would navigate to a farmer's market would be interchangeable to where we could switch out the panels with an updated panel. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the sign as a whole, what's really expensive is the post. When it comes to actual sign panels, those are pretty cheap. So we can always switch those out with more destinations later.
I can see why you would wait and put the shopping for the Heritage District and the farmer's market or store that's right there where we're gonna want to put the emphasis on that, like, little Main Street area, but I don't see why I have to take a sign and move everybody down to Providence to go to
I can't, I
Publix.
really am having a
I
hard
don't
time
want,
hearing
I
you.
don't care about everybody going to Publix. I just don't think that's important. I think people that live here will find where the shopping is. I think when we do a sign, it should be in that district of where we're gonna be putting shops if we do a farmer's market in a shop. I think that's where I would want. I don't want a ton of signs. We don't
Don't
want
want-
we don't want a lot of signs. We just want what we want from Marvin, not Publix. I don't care about Publix or,
Well, it's not Publix specifically, it's just shopping in general to that whole area to shop.
okay, I just don't think we need it.
My question is, if you drive down, here's my question, golf course versus fire.
Mm-hmm.
I view Firethorn as an asset to the market. And if I drive down to Mineral Springs and I take a right, it'll tell me I'm gonna go towards Stonebridge Golf Course.
Yes.
It doesn't say golf course, it says Stonebridge.
Mm-hmm.
The sign that's there is not a DOT sign, Austin. It's not a state sign. Does that matter? In other words, can we put Firethorn on our side versus just golf course?
Most likely not, and it's because that any of these signs that are installed in DOT's right-of-way has to meet their standards. So I'm oversimplifying a bit, but you're not allowed to specify business names on a sign. Since it's not like a public golf course and it's a private business, we would most likely only be able to put golf course, or we'd have to do a supplementary sign that says Firethorn, but it couldn't be on there listed as Firethorn, most likely.
They're on there with Adopt a Highway.
Adopt a highway is a completely separate thing. That's not a wayfinding sign. But yeah, that's not a wayfinding sign. Those are separate regulations.
So if DOT doesn't allow you to be specific with a business, then we shouldn't be able to put Publix.
We wouldn't put Publix anyway. It would just say shopping.
Okay, well then I definitely agree with Mindy about we don't need that.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a note there. And whenever I have all these notes compiled and I talk with Sean, at our next meeting, he's gonna come back and ask you all some questions just about some of this feedback you're getting, and he's gonna give you some more insight regarding like what's considered standard practices and such.
So when we do go to DOT to get these approvals, we give them a list of what's going to be on the sign, and that's what they approve? Or they just approve the wayfinding?
I need to verify that process with Sean, just because I'm not that familiar with that part of the process in itself. But there is some sort of oversight by them on what goes on the signs, because
Right.
they have their own standards that we have to meet.
I'm with Bob, like, it's still a golf course, regardless of if it's public or private, meaning Stonebridge, and they have signs out there for them.
Is Stonebridge private?
No,
No.
but it doesn't matter, because you didn't say private business, you said a business. Stonebridge is still a business, regardless of if it's public or
I'm just
private.
conveying what I've already heard from Sean about being able to put businesses on there. Like it was something.
Well, I know,
yeah.
Stonebridge is still a business.
I mean, I can verify that, but that's just what I've heard so far.
Because, I agree, it's an asset to have in the village, and I don't know why. There's plenty of golf courses that have signs for them, all over the place directing, like, how to get places.
And I want to say the issue is the fact that it's like a formal wayfinding sign in DOT's right of way put up by a government, maybe.
But I would say that that's what these other ones are.
But let me look into that and talk that through with Sean, and we'll talk with the next meeting. We'll give you all an update about including Firethorn specifically by name. Does anyone else have any other questions regarding destinations?
I do.
Bob?
Historic store.
Okay.
We're referencing the store on Newtown Road.
It's the Crane store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to do improvement to the Crane store?
So the Crane store will likely redevelop as part of the Heritage District. There is regulations in the Heritage District's form-based code to where they would have to bring that building up to modern standards while keeping the original look of the building to keep it consistent. We would, as of now, I assume this is included as a destination, just as a historic place. Whereas once it redevelops, it would be a new business. So we may want to discuss including this or not on here.
Well, I guess the follow-up question, Austin, is, do we have an intention to get a historic designation for it? So we would have a plaque, and
Now-
even though we repurpose it, it's still a historic, building. Are we thinking about doing that?
I mean, I think that's a great idea. It's not village property. It's currently owned by a trust. So it would be up to those people who currently own it to seek that designation. But I can definitely ask Hunter if he's familiar, if they know if they're going to do that sort of thing. I'm just not familiar with, where they stand currently in their talks about redeveloping that property. Store.
I guess my thought is, if they're going to do that, I think it would be great to steer people toward the historic as part of the village.
And I agree, and that'd be a big part of the Heritage District. Now, I know there's always been an intent for them to essentially remodel and really revamp it, but like I said, I just don't know where they stand in that process.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily put it on there right now. I would, and maybe not even have it, unless it does get some sort of historical designation. I would just let it be part of the Heritage District, not necessarily,
It's a private property.
but not calling it out specifically, unless it gets that historical designation.
And like how we talked about golf course and shopping in general, historic is just generic, is another generic term to point you to a place of interest.
Yeah, but we don't need to single it out. Historic store, crane store, whatever you want to call it.
But if
it's
they
just
do-
part of the Heritage District.
If they do get a historic designation, then would you say differently?
I think I would add in the description and summary of the historic district, including the store. And then if there's a plaque outside, it can read all about it. I don't think I would.
Well, one thing you want to consider is if you're looking at a sign, if it says, Marvin Heritage District straight ahead, you're not going to probably have enough room to say Marvin Heritage District, the arrow saying, including such and such. But that wouldn't be something you would see on the signs. Yeah.
I agree, and the reason is, if I see historic store on the sign, I'm thinking it's a place I can go and tour. That it's open for business, it's going to be something I can do. Otherwise, I don't see the purpose of him designating the location.
But let me ask, so if it's, let's say we're 5 years down the road, Heritage District's more established, they've got this historic designation, and they're now an open business, then would you all think different? I'm just planning long-term.
I still wouldn't say historic store, because I'm with Bob. I would think it would be like let me go tour it, not because we've turned it into a sandwich shop.
Okay.
I'd roll up and be like, it's a historic sandwich shop, or whatever they put in there. But I just would leave that off. I would
Okay.
just
And if
throw
there's-
that into the Heritage District.
And if there's ever a point in the future where any sort of circumstances change and you want to highlight a certain place for whatever reason, some significant event happened, we can always go back and change the signs. That's not an issue. So I've got that note, and I'll communicate that with Sean. Any other questions on destinations before we move on to the next thing?
Did I miss the 6 Mile Creek Greenway? Did we talk about that?
So that's something.
I know where it is, but did we talk about it?
It's right up here. It's literally just outside of Marvin, but it is an asset to put on our signs just because it's so close to here.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but then should we do the other Greenway signs? Like, do other Greenway stuff that we have? So I feel like we either do one or we
Marvin
do
Loop, yeah.
none.
One of the major pushes for Marvin is greenways. And a lot of people don't know where our greenways are, Kim. They don't know where Amber Meadows is, they don't know where Tullamore is. So if we're gonna have wayfinding signs, it just seems to me we could direct people to some of our trails. The trail behind here, I've talked to
Yeah.
people about this, Austin, and they go,
They don't know where it is.
they have no idea where
Yeah.
it is.
We have a park.
And people really like the trail systems. So
They're fantastic.
we should
Definitely, I
promote
think
that, I would
the
think.
Marvin Loop needs to have some kind of designation to it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. The only issue you're going to have with navigating someone to the Amber Meadows or Tullamore Trail is we don't have any signs back that way, just because we're purposely trying to keep traffic out of the Marvin Creek area. So it's going to be harder to navigate people in that direction.
Well, you may have it, you may just have it like if you're coming, I don't know where some of the,
So if you look up here on the map, you can see out here is Tullamore and Amber Meadows. We don't have any signage out here. We did not include this as a route because we did not want to drive traffic through the Marvin Creek neighborhood.
They put up no parking signs because we had a lot of people parking there, jumping over Canfield Creek to do their soccer. So, Virginia, I think it was Christine, Virginia had headed that up. We got through that, and there was a parking lot that was put in, and the parking lot was put out because it caused too much trouble. So I would not put anything.
I would say that based on what I've seen with some similar signage in more in like national park areas, you normally see signs pointing to trailheads and trailhead parking. So, for example, people park here for this trail, so we could put some sort of designation for trailhead parking, and you can have smaller signs at the site saying this is this trail and this trail.
okay. I just think if we're gonna have 6 Mile Creek that's not even in Union County on this map, then we need to have our trails on there.
So let's put which.
So what are we pointing, to Austin's point, though,
I
they're
don't know.
driving, so they need a place to park, so where do you
Where-
point them to? Like, I mean, this makes sense, right? They can park at Village Hall and access a majority of this trail, but if they're going to Amber Meadows, where are you gonna point them to? The swim center? They said no.
They
I
said
mean,
no.
I think the way we're set up, unfortunately, is they're gonna have to rely on the digital resources to tell them where the trails are.
Then I don't
and-
think we should put 6 Mile Creek on there.
Do you have plans when you do the historical district to have a larger parking area that
Yes.
has like maybe a big sign that says our trailways, and maybe that way with a map that tells everybody where it is, so they can have free parking and take their bike?
So with, we've talked about parking in the Heritage District quite a lot when we were talking about the form-based code. And I know that we've previously talked about identifying the parking lot across from the Methodist Church that's currently gravel in between Will's property and Mr. Fincher's property as being a potential parking area. But nothing concrete has been decided for that, but based on previous discussions, there would be parking in the Heritage District, and whenever we do have that, and we have more of that infrastructure, we can have more downtown signage pointing people to trails, including trail maps and things of that sort that you would normally see in like a downtown area.
To Kim's point, there's a huge sign out front of 6 Mile Creek. I mean, if somebody from this side of town is going there, they're gonna find it. And so, yeah, we probably don't need to spend money on a Mecklenburg County asset.
Well, keep in mind, the signs themselves cost money. Putting something additional on a sign doesn't cost any extra money.
But where are you gonna put this specific sign that says 6 Mile Creek when you're leaving Union County?
So
When you're
let's-
leaving Marvin?
let's
Because we're not gonna
hold-
have leaving Marvin signs.
Let's hold the discussion of the actual sign concept for when we get to the actual signs. Right now, I'm just talking about destinations.
Okay, well, that goes hand in
is the
hand, so I don't
content.
want that destination on there because now you're not telling me where you're gonna put the
No,
sign.
I'm going to. We're going to get to that. Let's put a pin in this and come back to it. That way, once we actually start seeing where the signs are for each destination. Okay, so let's move on. So here were the primary routes throughout Marvin.
Did anybody talk about the Publix Pocket Park sign?
The what?
The Pocket Park?
So I did mention to Sean that we definitely should add that already. It just wasn't added in this version. So we can definitely add the Pocket Park as a destination.
How long have we had this map? When did you tell him that?
I met with him about a week before I sent it to y'all, so he just forgot to add it. But that's something that can be quickly added, and we can have it on here.
Do you want that as a destination? I mean,
Why not?
it's a pocket park. I don't know, like, that people are going there for,
They might. If we put in a picnic table on a picnic pad slab.
The slab got denied.
Oh, that's right. Hey, I got you some handicap access stuff. I don't know, I mean, it's an asset that the village has, so do we not want to highlight it? This is annoying. There's a massive echo.
I don't know, I guess that's up to y'all. No.
I'm just the liaison, I'm just throwing it out there, I'm not actually on the committee. See, Mindy doesn't even know we have a pocket park, there should be a sign there. Oh my God, it's too far.
Talking about the one between Publix and the Mexican restaurant?
It's in the front, it's between, it's on
Weddington,
Providence Road.
It's between Weddington Chase and the public shopping center. It's like,
It's an acre.
it's very small. Okay, so let's move on to these are the routes that we identified.
No, we're not moving on. Do we want it on the map or not?
Oh, I thought you were. I thought we said we were.
No, I'm asking the question. Do we want it on there? I mean, it kind of would. Trees, some grass, some gravel. Is it something we want to send people to? Well, I mean, eventually, hopefully,
Right
it's
here.
going to be really nice. No, it's,
Can you turn it into a dog park?
I feel like it's too close to the Providence Road.
So close to
I would
roads and
hate for a dog to get out and
But you
get,
can fence that.
I know, but
You can fence that. I know we had it before.
It'd be a great dog park, I think. Might not be, I would want to consult with some professionals on the size, but I think it would be, a good dog park. If, but,
I was just throwing out, hey, use it for something.
yeah,
Nobody knows it's there.
I don't know.
I mean, there's still a lot of work to
Dog
be done
park
there in the
standards
future,
are.
so.
If it's safe for a dog, that's a good idea. Can be.
Be a great splash pad. That was a joke.
So are we keeping it on there or not? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see on the map, the green lines are the routes that we would see signage on. Newtown Road, east and westbound, Crane Road, Marvin Road, Waxhaw Marvin Road, Marvin School Road, Bonds Grove, and Joe Carr. Again, we didn't put anything on Tom Short just because we were trying to keep traffic we don't want to encourage that to be a main point of ingress into Marvin through the Marvin Creek neighborhood. Any questions on routes before we move on to gateways? Hearing none.
Can you,
So let's hold gateways until we're done with routes.
can you zoom in to the two roundabouts?
Okay.
That seemed awful busy to me when I first saw it, but I'm
Well,
assuming because
let's hold off on signs. Right now, we're just talking about the routes. Is everybody good with these routes before we move on to gateways? Then we're going to get into the phasing and the signs.
okay, what are you asking for with routes? How people are going to get to Marvin?
So these were the routes that we identified as the major ingress and egress points. Basically, the ways people are coming into and leaving Marvin.
Gotcha.
Are you okay with it? Are you okay with these routes that we've identified?
Yes.
Okay. So let's jump into gateways now. Okay. Shoot. The what? He probably just didn't, I accidentally left Gateway 1. He probably just didn't label it correctly. Okay, so for your gateways, you have Marvin Road up here by the 6 Mile Creek Greenway. You've got the state line on Newtown Road. You have coming off of Ray Road onto Marvin School. You have the existing sign over at the Marvin Gardens Shopping Center that we would theoretically essentially remake with the new design. And then you would have one further down on Waxhaw Marvin Road.
so the one that is off of Ray Road,
Yes.
coming on to Marvin School Road,
Mm-hmm.
that it probably should not be there. It should probably be where, just down from Man of War, when you're actually entering Marvin.
So I had this exact same question for Sean when we first looked at the map together. And what he pointed out to me was, we've identified that area as our future annexation area. So it's a little bit of planning ahead, but also, if you were to move the sign, for example, a half mile down the road, down Marvin School Road, no one's ever going to see it. And part of putting Marvin on the map would be for people to drive down Ray Road, they're going to be able to say, hey, that's the village of Marvin, right there, right down that road. What is that? Because right now, a lot of people don't even know that we exist because we're to ourselves. So that's the purpose of why it's there. It's to give us more visibility to those who.
Okay, then why don't you have one on Bonds Grove Road?
That's a good question. One that I thought there was,
I mean, it's the same thought process, the same theory, because you've got Belgrove down there, you've got Providence Ridge down there, you've got Barcroft down there.
so would you guys want to see one specifically on Bonds Grove?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
You have more stuff that's in Marvin on that road than you do on Ray Road between Ray and Providence Downs, or, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I've got that added. What about the other gateways? Does anyone have any other questions on the rest of the gateways? Okay. And that's honestly something I didn't even catch when I looked at the map with Sean, so that's a good point.
And the one that's on Waxaw Marvin Road, down, that's just like in the middle?
That's where our boundary is there for that one.
Okay, so why is that thought process not the same?
Because whenever you cross out of our boundary on Marvin School Road onto Ray Road, you're in unincorporated Union County. Whenever you cross on Waxhaw Marvin Road, you're going directly into the town of Waxhaw. So then we'd be putting a sign in their jurisdiction. So that's why we'd have to put it there specifically, or we'd have to move it further into Marvin, but we can't move further down Waxhaw Marvin Road. Does that make sense?
Other road that connects up to Ray Road, I can't tell what the name of the roads are on there.
Not Crane Road, the long
Yeah,
one?
it is Crane, yeah.
And the only reason we don't have a gateway there is none of that is technically in Marvin, but that's a primary route people take to come into the area.
But it's on their future annexation plan, so why wouldn't we put one there?
Just because because so much of it is not in Marvin
Okay.
now.
All right, I don't like the one that's on Ray Road and Marvin School Road where it is. Like, if we're gonna use the same thought process across the board, then let's be consistent. If not, then let's be consistent.
I will say that Sean highlighted the primary reason that it's there is so that we have visibility from Ray Road.
I've got a comment on,
Then you should put it on Ray Road, every single spot that you can come into Marvin then.
What?
got a
I
comment
don't
on the
understand what
one
you mean, Kim.
on Providence that she mentioned and the one that's down on Waxhaw Marvin. I'm wondering if it would be better just to do one at Bonds Grove where that fork is and it's going to be a future roundabout. Just have one
Where are you talking about?
at Bonds Grove and Waxhaw Marvin. I mean,
Are we talking about the gateway sign?
because once you get from either way, you're going to not have that directional when you get to that roundabout.
Will,
Which
are you
way is
talk-
Marvin?
Will, are you talking about a gateway or are you on to the other signs? Because we're still on gateways right now.
Gateway.
No,
No, gateway.
There
I
is
mean-
no gateway at the future roundabout.
That's a roundabout symbol there. That's not a gateway at Waxhaw Marvin and
Well, I'm
Bonds.
asking why wouldn't there be a gateway there?
Because if you go down Waxhaw Marvin, you're still in Marvin, and if you go out Bonds Grove Church Road, you're still in Marvin. So
So
there,
you're going to have other signage at that.
So you have a
I see the
future,
other signage, but
you have a gateway.
you're already in Marvin there. You don't need a gateway
You have a
sign.
gateway further down on Waxhaw Marvin, and you guys just talked about adding one at the end of Bonds Grove at 16. So you would have one there. You wouldn't put one at the roundabout because that's not where you're,
I'm just
that's not
saying
where
there's a
you're going
lot
to
of
get
signage around that area.
Well, no, you're trying to add more signage there. We're not. The one sign is going to be.
I was just saying one.
Yeah, but then you're already in Marvin before you get there. Like, you want to do your gateway signs at the Marvin line. Not like you've been into Marvin for 4 miles and then it has now you're in Marvin.
So I have a question on the one that's on Ray Road. Instead of let's not do a gateway, let's do just a fancier directional sign. Kind of like they already have a sign that says Marvin School Road is school this way. If you just do a fancier road sign that says Marvin this way, Marvin Village Hall this way, but not a gateway, would that make everybody happier? Because it's not, like you said, not in Marvin, but we want to move people to the Village Hall. So not a gateway per se, but a nice directional sign like we're already going to be going to.
Yeah, I mean, we put up a
Just a
directional,
sign,
if we put up a
directional.
directional sign there, people that are in Hunter Oaks who already think that they're in Marvin are really going to be like, oh, see, told you, we're really in Marvin. I would just rather have it at the Marvin line. And if, you know what, if we annex in those people and we have to pull the sign up and move it, we can do that.
Okay, keep in mind that's expensive.
Austin, seriously, if we want to move it, we need to put them at the current Marvin lines. Like this, oh, it may happen. Well, yeah, it may happen. It may happen in 15 years. Like in 15 years, like, then they can move the sign.
Okay, I've got that written down and I'll communicate that with Sean. Any other questions on gateways before we actually move into the signs and the sign content? All right. Okay, let's start with phase 1. So I think this is personally confusing the way it's labeled, but I understand why it's labeled this way. So the naming convention you see for these different signs, LS and HS, are high speed and low speed. So for roads with higher speed limits, those signs are larger, and those are labeled HS. For signs that are on roads with lower speed limits, they're smaller, and those are labeled LS for low speed. And then you have directional, then the next letters are directional, so WB westbound, southbound, northbound, eastbound, southwest, northeast, et cetera.
Just so I can wrap my head around the small side, large side, what dimensions are you talking about?
So I don't have the dimensions handy, but do you remember when we were looking at the concepts, how you kind of went down a line from really big sign to smaller, smaller, smaller? So it's one of those smaller sizes. It's just slightly smaller, and it's just so, for example, you want the higher speed signs to be much larger because if people are driving past them at 45, 55 miles an hour, the font has to be bigger to be able to be readable. So that's the difference. That's the reason behind the actual difference in size, but I can't tell you what those sizes are off the top of my head.
The reality, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, excuse me, I'm not. In Marvin, there's one speed limit, and it's fast.
No, that's not the speed limit. The speed limit is 35.
The speed limit is the fastest you can go.
Nobody goes the speed limit. So if the purpose of sharing information with these people, I would do large signs. Because I'm just here to tell you that if you go down Marvin School Road, you think people are doing 35 miles an hour?
I would question that.
I do 35.
Well, there are very few people who do 35, and on Joe Carr, Officer Swan's pulling people all the time.
Good.
I go 35 because Tommy likes to scare me.
So I'm not trying to be smart, I'm just saying reality is, you know, we try to communicate information with one size fit all instead of having two.
I mean, I can ask that to Sean, but I definitely think we want to encourage people to drive the speed limit at the same time. Yeah. And large signs are going to be more expensive just because we'll be spending more in the materials. That's the only other thing to think about.
Well, and it looks like these, if I'm looking at these correctly, the lighter blue, is that's 1-1 or 2-2?
The lightest blue is 1-1.
Okay, the lightest blue is 1-1. So those are the smallest ones?
So they're a mix just because of where they're located. So
Oh, LS means low speed?
Yep.
Okay.
but does
how do I
phase
know which one
one,
this is? Oh,
does
high
phase one
speed.
mean phase one? Like, this is what you think?
This would be the first signs we
First
implement.
things, yes.
So let's walk through the individual signs now. So let's see, the first sign here is located on Newtown Road. It's low speed, it's westbound, and it's navigating people to the Heritage District, at a golf course. We'll talk about whether we include Firethorn or not, and Village Hall. Are you guys okay with those three destinations?
Okay, so this is high speed, so it will be a little
Low
bit.
speed.
It says HS.
We're doing LSWB.
LSWB. Look on your monitor.
Look on that screen. That's what I'm sharing to right
Where
now.
are you? Where's your thing?
So we're right here. We're at this sign here, and this is the information for the sign.
Oh, you're over.
So we just started on phase one in the first sign. It's listed there.
That's what I thought I was on.
And I'm not sure if it might display different on your iPad, Kim, just because it's a different browser, different format settings.
So, okay, so I don't disagree with what Bob's saying in terms of like the speed, but this particular one, you are going to be going slower because you're coming into the roundabout. So you're not going to be able to go 45. So I'm okay with with a smaller sign in this particular point.
I don't think we need to be creating sign sizes based on people not being able to follow the law. So, I mean, if it's a,
Agree.
whatever Sean and his people are called, recommendation that this is a low-speed sign, then I would rather less signage square footage than,
I don't know what it looks like.
yeah, well, that's true.
Right
That's-
now, we're,
That's where my problem is.
So-
If we had
Can I
something
see?
here I could look at.
Did we vote?
Yeah.
one person at a
Hold
time,
on.
please.
Can
One
I also mention that even with maybe a smaller sign?
Hold on.
Hang
Hold
on,
on.
a
One
smaller
person at a time,
sign
please.
that they would slow down to maybe try to see it better?
I agree.
So this discussion is just on the sign content. Let's hold all discussions about what the signs look like for another meeting. Because I want to make sure that we stay on task.
Okay, so sign content, you should have Marvin Elementary School on this one.
Good point. That's a great point. So LSWB. And it's just because that's a good point. They just left that off. So we can definitely add that. And I'm going to ask Sean about what he considers to be the optimal number of destinations to include on a sign, just because of the size of the panels and whatnot. So I'll make sure to communicate that with him. Any other thoughts on this sign before we move on? Okay. On to the next sign. This is on Marvin School now, coming into the same intersection. Low speed southbound. It just points to, make a left to go to Marvin Eford Park, make a right to go into the Heritage District. And it's right by Village Hall, so you would probably already be passing Village Hall at this point. I can even zoom in if I need
Good.
to. Actually, you're coming right up on Village Hall.
Do you want to add the golf course? I mean, it would be to the right, as with the Heritage District. You've already got it here, but if you're coming from this direction, you may not know that you need to go that way. Again, I'm just trying to be consistent.
I mean, she makes a point. If we're gonna have it, we have to get them there from the gateway.
From Marvin School Road.
We're at the mercy of the amount of roundabouts we have. We got to get them through each one.
So I think you've got to add it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
because I don't want them turning down Joe Carr to get there.
So we'll add the golf course? Okay, so we'll add the golf course there. All right. Next sign. Low speed, westbound. We are in the middle of the two roundabouts, and it's just continue on to the Heritage District and the golf course.
Okay, you're going that way.
That just feels repetitive.
Well, keep in mind,
You got to get, I wouldn't put it there. I would put it like almost at the roundabout, being like,
But then you can't, because what if they turn down the wrong leg of the roundabout?
yep.
and it's in the middle, so people have time to actually read the sign before they come up onto the roundabout.
Yeah, they're still in the one lane.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
jerking over in the
It is
two-lane.
repetitive, but you've got to get them through that roundabout, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, do you want to do a left hand to get to the Marvin Ridge schools?
Unless you,
That's a good point, because we don't have,
unless
they-
you send them down Newtown.
Yeah, but you need to give them all the ways,
I'd send them down Newtown to Crane.
unless you're sending them to Sandy Ridge, which you should send them that way.
do you guys want,
And the high school's right there, so you might as well just say.
do you guys
Get a
want me
professional
to?
to diagnose our directions with all these roundabouts.
Do you guys want me to just ask Sean what they think would be the best place, what sign would be the best ones to include the school
Yes.
on? Okay, so let me make a note there.
Because in general, we are not doing things that are behind us, right, that we've sort of passed, but the high school in this case is problematic because it's,
Because you could go left and right, or you could go right and left. Do you include Sandy Ridge?
And if we're including Sandy Ridge, then we need to probably send them that way instead of, because then you're gonna need a directional sign at Crane and Waxhaw Marvin at the stoplight to direct them to Sandy Ridge. So this is probably the best place to put Sandy Ridge.
So let me talk to Sean about that, and I'll see what, one thing I don't know is how far out do you want to include destinations? Just because we obviously can't have 7 or 8 destinations on each sign, they'd be too big. So we do have to prioritize a bit.
But you have to do it at an intersection where you can get to it.
And that's important too. I think there's multiple things to consider, and so let me ask him that question, and we'll come back to y'all at the next meeting, and this will be updated.
I'm sorry if this has already been answered, but the one for the Low Speed westbound between the roundabouts,
Is this the one we're still on?
you're looking at right now?
Yeah.
Is it gonna have like a little roundabout?
Yes. Yes. So the arrows you will see will be like a circle, they'll be curved to tell you which exit you need to take.
Oh, boy.
All right.
That could get dicey.
All right, so,
Yeah.
so next one is located on Waxhaw Marvin Road. It's low speed northbound. It's directing you to take the left exit into the Heritage District, take the right exit to go to Village Hall and Marvin Eford Park.
You should throw on the golf course to the left, and you should throw on Marvin School Road to the right. Marvin Elementary to the right.
Now,
Probably
one thing,
Down south is gonna love that there.
based on the size of the signs, Sean may tell me that, hey, you really need to prioritize 3 destinations per sign. And if that's the case, we'll ask you all that question in a future meeting.
Okay.
So golf course. That's what I want to know, and I'm leaning towards probably 3, but I'll confirm.
Well, if the Heritage District is established, it's gonna be right there, they're gonna see it. Like, it's gonna, Fincher's property is right there, so that may be one you can leave off.
So you said add the golf course, and what was the other one?
Marvin Elementary School.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
According to Google, wayfinding signs should be limited to 3 destinations per sign.
Boom.
And shall not contain commercial advertising. But that's not the same as pointing them to commercial.
So. Mhm. Mhm.
My comment was, if I'm headed that way, why would we not have more?
Mhm. So, do you guys, for now, do you guys want to just take these questions back to Sean with the additional locations, and then we refine down to 3 if we need to, or do you want to refine down to 3 destinations today?
No, I wanna give them what we want,
And then we'll go from there. That makes sense. All right. Next is low-speed eastbound. We're still in phase 1. This is in the Heritage District on Newtown, and it's just navigating to Village Hall and Marvin Eford Park. So this is probably a smaller sign, but we can definitely talk about adding an additional one here if you.
then you need to have the schools to the right.
So this is, you want to add MES?
Huh?
You want to add Marvin Elementary?
No, you need to have, to the right, you need to have Sandy Ridge and the high school.
Does anybody else see the 7-Eleven convenience store?
What? So for some reason, Google has labeled the old Village Hall 7-Eleven. I've reported that as an error, and they have not taken it off.
Saw that.
I did finally get our separate listing for the old Village removed. It did still have Village Hall listed there. I got that fixed finally. I mean, I've already sent reports in, so. If whenever y'all are using Google Maps, report that as an error, and if enough people do it, they'll take it off. But I've already reported it. I've done everything I can from my end to get them to remove that. For some reason, the 7-Eleven has been using that building as their mailing address, and I do not know why. They've been sending stuff there, and it just gets left outside the building. All right, high-speed sign, southbound. So this is an important sign. This is located on Providence Road. This is technically within the boundaries of Weddington, and if we did this sign, we would need to get them on board with it. And it's just so that when people are coming down Providence Road into this intersection, they know they're coming into Marvin. This sign navigates you to Marvin Eford Park, Marvin Village Hall, and the Marvin Heritage District. I'm assuming it doesn't have shopping on there just because you're already coming up on the shopping centers and they're clearly visible.
If it's in a DOT right-of-way, why do we have to get Weddington's approval?
Because it's within their, that's technically their municipal limits right there.
I mean, there's a Marvin sign there already that says make a right to go to Marvin, 2 miles.
Yes, it's a standard DOT sign, yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Okay, so we'll keep that and keep going for now.
Actually, this makes me realize that if we do have to triage it down to 3 at some point, we can do it from which is farther away. And are you going to see another sign that says,
And I
go
want
to
to
the
think
freaking golf
that Sean
course?
has already thought of that in some instances, but I think he just left off a destination or two that has to be taken into account. So the next one is high-speed northbound, and this is just coming from the other side of the intersection, coming up. It's right by the Marvin Gardens, and it navigates to the same destinations. Yeah. High-speed northbound, Park, Village Hall, and Heritage District.
See, I told you. I told you.
Or you got, it's just the mirrored version of it, yeah.
Told you.
All right, so let's move on to high-speed westbound. This is on Waxhaw Marvin Road, right by Marvin Ridge. And for some reason, yeah, he did not navigate to the schools on this one. High-speed westbound, this is Waxhaw Marvin Road. And I'm assuming we just want to add schools straight ahead to the right, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, middle. I mean, you at least need the middle school.
Because Sandy Ridge is going to be on the left and Marvin Ridge is going to be on the right. Yeah. So either we just have so you just need to have some sort of notation for that.
But not just schools, like you need to.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you, that's a conversation worth having. If you have multiple schools grouped together, do you want to have an individual destination for each one? Or do you want to summarize them in schools just to save space, just because you can only put so many destinations?
Because Marvin Ridge High School and Middle School are to the right, but Sandy Ridge is down the road to the left, so you can't just say schools.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know in this instance, but just in general, whenever you're navigating people, this general area. But
all you need to do is middle/high, be on the same line.
Yeah, or just Marvin Ridge schools.
No, but it's still, neither is Marvin Ridge High School or Middle School.
Okay, so next up is, we have 2 more signs in phase 1. Next one is this is on Marvin Road, right where the new roundabout's gonna be, and it's navigating people into the Heritage District, into Village Hall, and Eford Park. This is low speed and southbound. So this is coming into that intersection from Marvin Road.
It's behind you.
It's behind you.
It looks good.
This is the sign that everybody has loads of time to read, so it could be
All right, hearing none on this sign, we'll move on to the last one in phase 1. This is high-speed eastbound. This is also on Waxhaw Marvin Road, and it's just the mirrored version of the one we saw a minute ago. So this would also be adding the schools.
No, just the middle school. Because you've already passed Sandy Ridge.
Oh, you're right, we have passed Sandy Ridge, good point. I didn't even notice that. Add Marvin Ridge. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Okay, phase 2. Okay, low speed, northeast bound. This is on, so this one and the neighboring sign, this is on Henry Nesbitt. This is for people that are coming into Marvin from South Carolina off this side road. It's navigating people to Village Hall, to the Heritage District, and they've got Marvin Ridge High School. But we could change that to schools in general since we're just directing them right.
Yep, I think that's fine. Nah, because you're going to hit it later on.
You're still pretty far away from that.
With Village Hall being in the Heritage District, is there any way to combine those?
I would keep those, personally, I would keep those separate just because these are our government offices too. And when someone sees Heritage District, they're immediately going to think of, oh, that's where City Hall is. You know?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next is low-speed eastbound. This is the accompanying sign on Stacy Howie. And it would be the exact same. And we would just change Marvin Ridge to schools if people are turning right. Excuse me. Probably should not cough into the mic, that's very loud. Low speed westbound. So this is a phase 2 sign. It's in between the 2 roundabouts and it's coming, it's low speed, it's westbound. It's navigating currently to the Heritage District and the golf course. Now,
Wait, which one is it?
so this is in between the 2 roundabouts. We're back on Newtown Road, in between the 2 roundabouts. It's a phase 2 sign, and it's currently just navigating to Heritage District and the golf course.
This
You're
one
going to the left?
that's highlighted?
The one that I've got on the screen right now.
Yeah,
it's going,
that's, all that shit's behind you.
No, it's going west. It's going west.
Why is it on that side of the road then?
Yeah,
It's wrong.
it is wrong.
West.
Yeah.
It's still going eastbound though.
But we have on the other side.
That's
The
going
pinpoint
eastbound.
might not be perfect. They
Oh,
might be reversed.
So this one does look like an error, so let me,
Yep.
so I think,
It applies that you're going that way, but it's on the wrong side of the street to be going that way.
so this one was meant.
And you already have one on the other side of the street.
This one was meant to be eastbound, so I'll just get Sean to update
But,
those.
and it's fine if it's eastbound, but everything's still behind you that's on that sign.
So we need to change out the sign content here. So if this is eastbound, where are we navigating people?
You're navigating to Village Hall, you're navigating to the park, and you're navigating to Marvin Elementary School.
Yeah. But you've got to switch something because they're too close. You
No,
can't-
they're
you
opposite
can't-
sides of the road.
They need to be on the opposite side of the road.
They are.
Okay, so then the content stays the same.
Well, no, so this is mislabeled. This, instead of saying westbound, this is meant to be eastbound, and he put the wrong content on the sign because he put the wrong
Okay,
direction.
then it's not the opposite side of the road because you can't come off that roundabout and then be like, bam, there's a sign. That doesn't give you any time to see it.
It's gonna be like right there on the far side of the road.
It needs to be in the
If
middle.
you're switching the sides of the roads of these two,
We're not.
Different direction.
Okay, stop, okay,
then
let
you,
Derek talk.
then you have to switch their locations as well. You can't just move it across the street.
I
We're
see, I see
not.
what you mean. I see what he means.
But you're not.
You're
So,
doing one or the other, I think.
so that, okay, so you're coming off the roundabout this way, and you're coming this way for this particular sign.
It needs to be further down, closer to the second roundabout.
I see what he means, yeah.
Like, I don't think you can come off of this turn and then be like, bam, there's a sign.
That's what I
It
said.
needs to be
Middle.
further down so that you have time to view it and then say.
Okay, so just slide it down the road some.
And I think this was an error.
Sign is correct, it just needs to be on the other side of the road, and that sign's correct, it just needs to be on the other side of the road.
No,
They're both labeled westbound, so one of them is labeled wrong. So this is a mistake by Sean, and I'll just point it out to him and ask him to clarify.
Okay.
Then these have different content.
Yeah, and that's something I'll ask him, and I'm going to verify the phasing on that one because it seems odd that there's a phase 2 sign tucked in with all the phase 1s. So I'm going to verify that with him too. All right, let's keep it going.
Keep it going.
Speed westbound. Okay. Okay, now we're getting into, this is the intersection at Crane Road. These are Phase 2 signs, and these are just to navigate people that are coming off of Crane Road or coming in that intersection, either any one of these directions. So this is low speed, southbound on Crane. Marvin, this will take us to the schools, so we can do schools straight ahead instead of Marvin Ridge, and going to Village Hall and Marvin Eford Park. What do you guys think?
Oh, okay, that one's fine.
Did you go with this one? Okay, high-speed westbound on Newtown Road, same intersection, same 3 destinations. And obviously, we'll change Marvin Ridge to just schools in general, since all of them are down that street.
All right, so here's my 2 comments I don't know the answer to. On the previous sign, you didn't point out the Heritage District. On this one, you are. And then my other comment is, are you thinking of changing high school to just schools?
Just because there's 3 schools that way.
Okay, but what if they're looking for Marvin Elementary?
That's a good
You need to
question.
say Marvin Ridge Schools.
And Sandy Ridge, but then there's
No,
not.
that's a ridge. So this would be the Marvin Ridge, Sandy Ridge.
Okay.
Marvin
We can
Ridge.
change that to Marvin.
Because if you look at the sign coming off of Ray Road, when you turn onto Crane Road, it says Marvin Ridge Schools. Sandy Ridge would be considered part of the Marvin Ridge Schools.
I've got that as a note. And for
Not
and
there.
for Derek's question about, I think Sean is narrowing all these down to 3 destinations. So I think he was prioritizing there. So if you're coming off the previous sign, it's navigating to the park, Village Hall, and the schools. And if you're coming down Newtown, it's navigating to the schools, the Heritage District, and Village Hall because the park is behind you.
I would like to see on low-speed southbound, I'd like to see Heritage District on there, if we can.
And I've got that as a note. All right. Let's see, low speed northbound, this is going to be the inverse of the other Crane Road sign, and it's the same 3 destinations, the Heritage District, Village Hall, and Marvin Eford Park.
Yeah, that one's fine because the schools are behind you. Unless you want to add Marvin Elementary School and hang a left.
It's pretty far, and you're navigating multiple roads, though.
Okay.
That's the only thing I would think about there.
Well, you're talking about.
But you're not navigating multiple roads, you're on Newtown Road.
Oh, yeah, you're
you have
right.
One turn. I mean, what are your distances? I mean, we've talked about Firethorn and shopping. I still just wish Village Hall and Heritage District could be one item. I don't know if you can slash them or.
Let me ask Sean.
I mean, maybe the further away ones, you could do a slash, and as you're getting closer, you pull them apart.
Well, yeah.
Okay, slash Village Hall and MHD far away.
I mean, they're driving slow anyway, so they can see multiple. They can look at a long list.
Bob doesn't think so.
Okay, so I'll ask Sean that question. What he thinks about that. Just from like a best practices standpoint, like combining destinations to save space when they're interrelated like that. So we said we're good on low speed northbound for Crane Road. Now we're going to see the opposite on Newtown Road, and this is navigating to Marvin Eford Park, shopping and dining, and the Marvin Ridge Schools.
Marvin Ridge Schools.
School. I know we got to change that.
I don't love the shopping and dining there.
I'm thinking about that too.
I don't have an opinion either way. Why do you guys not like it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, and you know, I'm hearing a lot of stuff from people that we're trying to bring in tourists to the village of Marvin. We want the tourism to go up.
Come on down to the village of Marvin. We got a
So,
Publix.
We're taking them
And I don't know that we can, I don't know that we should be,
Promoting.
yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know why I don't like it, but I just don't like it.
Does it seem too commercial?
It does.
Okay, then there's our reason. I knew that I agreed, I just didn't know.
Yeah, that's why.
And I think I definitely think that's a valid point. For a lot of towns that do include this on their signs, you'll see like shopping and dining, and it's just generic. It doesn't promote any one business, and it's just navigating people to help promote their local businesses.
I
That's
just
usually what
think
you
it
see.
just seems too commercial for what. Yeah. I just didn't know how to,
And that will help us about other topics as well.
It's going to help narrow down the signs and help prioritize too.
okay, what's up next?
All right.
Oh, I like that name, that's cute.
So now we're on to high-speed southwestbound. This is on Marvin School coming up on Joe Carr. High-speed southwestbound. And this navigates to Village Hall, the Heritage District, and the golf course.
You need Marvin Elementary School on there because it's literally
That's
right
obvious. I
ahead.
realize. Oh, wait,
And I think if we're taking people up Marvin School Road and trying to keep some of the local traffic off of Joe Carr Road, you can get to the golf course the other way.
so try to
If we're having to prioritize to 3,
so just take the golf course off, you think, on the sign?
yeah. Roundabout?
If they do the Geo bond, you never know, we could get a roundabout.
Roundabout. No, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, it backs up to my house.
Listen, we got traffic issues in Marvin.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody good with this one?
Build a wall.
Okay, so
Walk.
we're gonna remove golf course from that sign and substitute out with Marvin Elementary School. All right, good progress. Next up, high-speed southbound. This is the other side of Joe Carr Road, coming just past the Gateway sign on Marvin Road. So this is high-speed southbound. Navigates to golf course straight ahead, the Heritage District, and Village Hall. And one thing that's worth considering, gateway signs are going to be the most expensive signs we have in this entire plan. And so if we have limited funds, which we do, and we need to prioritize construction, which we will, you'd want to make sure that if you don't have a gateway, you at least have some navigational sign relatively close. So like if we don't have a gateway, if you don't have this gateway yet, this would be a good sign to include early on, just so we're navigating.
Okay, which one are we on? Sorry.
Check your screen, Kim. You'll always be able to see which one I'm on.
I got it. Okay.
So this navigates golf course, Heritage District, and Village Hall. Are you guys good with these destinations?
I'm trying to decide if I want to add Marvin Elementary to the right.
If you're trying to keep traffic off Joe Carr, you might not want to. That's the only thing I would think about there.
So you already have it going off of Ray Road, Marvin School Road, Village Hall, schools that way? So if we keep going, they're going to run into the elementary, and then there's a sign that takes them to the high schools, right? So we're already going to pass the elementary. So we don't need to put the elementary on there?
We're on Marvin Road. This is Marvin Road, not Marvin School.
Yeah, Marvin.
But we're, okay,
Marvin Road.
okay, so this,
This is Marvin and Joe Carr coming up on Firethorn.
See,
oh,
southbound.
He's on this one.
Yeah.
And let me zoom out a little bit. That might help everybody visualize better.
That's why I've got my computer.
Does that help? Okay.
Yeah, you can't orient yourself.
Is everybody good on this sign?
Well, if we're trying to get them to the elementary school, then up at the corner that we've already done in Phase 1 at Marvin Road, you don't have the elementary school to go into the left.
Which sign was that? I gotta go back.
Phase 1 LSSB. Unless you added it.
Phase 1 LSSB. Sorry, just give me 1 second to verify this is the correct sign for my notes. This one here?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just make a note to add MES. All right, let's keep it going. We are almost done with, hold on, make sure that's the right one. We're in phase 2. We did that one. Sorry, I got off track for a second. That's the one we just did. Okay, high-speed eastbound. This is the same this is the Marvin Newtown intersection. This is coming from South Carolina, the direction of South Carolina into the intersection. It's navigating to Village Hall, Eford Park, and the golf course.
I mean, I kind of feel like you're coming right into the Heritage District right there. You should have some sort of signage there.
And do you remember those signs that we have, those individual signs that we have in the plan that say Marvin Heritage District? You would probably see one of those mounted somewhere right there too. So if you're coming up on into it, do you need to navigate into it? That's the only thing you would want to think about.
Okay, well, then we should have some sort of designation for that, for a sign that says that right there. And if it's the star, the gold star, then it should be,
That gold star is arbitrarily placed just in that corridor. It isn't.
okay, well
it
then,
doesn't-
then let's move it to the east of the roundabout.
I'm confused. What do you mean?
I guess elementary school.
I mean, is it just, I mean, is it hanging out there?
Are you talking about the star that says Heritage District?
Yeah.
It's just placed there so we know that this
But
is
is
the general area.
that going to be a sign there?
No. That's the star is a destination. The star is just a destination. Say this is just one of
Okay.
the destinations we're going to.
If we're going to have a sign that says the Heritage District on it, just the Heritage District on it, I want to know where it is being placed.
We definitely can do that. That's not actually a wayfinding sign. That'll be like a decorative sign that says Marvin Heritage District that you would just see in the district. And that's something that we can install on our own time and would not be included within the formal wayfinding sign plan.
Well, it should, because it should look the same.
Because once you just,
Like,
off topic again, but as she's thinking down the road, and you're saying that'll be something that we'll decide when we do the historical district, right? You're going to say, we'll worry about that sign when that comes, right?
Before we even got into wayfinding, when council approved the initial branding package, there was a smaller sign that said Marvin Heritage District. And that would be signs that we would install pretty much the entry points into the district, and that would be on a much cheaper scale. And they wouldn't be these big grandiose signs that were within the same budget as these, if that makes sense.
Okay, and then you would entertain maybe having the poles with the banners and whatnot on the side of the road to just kind of elevate that area?
Yeah, and that's.
I just want to know how much we need to put on this sign.
Based on, whenever you're going to hit the sign, if, let's say 10 years down the road, the Heritage District is much more built out, stuff's clearly visible, when you hit this sign, you're already going to be seeing things already.
Okay.
If that makes sense. We definitely would want to have a sign, some sort of sign here to denote that you're coming into the Heritage District, but I don't know if it needs to be on the wayfinding sign, just because you're already there. You know what I mean?
Off topic, can I ask a question? A little bit.
How off topic?
Not much.
Okay, go ahead.
Was there any consideration on the center of the roundabouts having Heritage District signage in that?
So
way?
we are restricted by NCDOT as to what we can put in the center of a roundabout because there are height limits. So that's why you see those trees in the middle that only go up to a certain height.
Because you need to see through the roundabout to see who's coming.
Gotcha.
No, you don't. You look to the left. You don't look through it.
Exactly.
I think that we need to have, if we are having signage for the Heritage District, it needs to match all of the other signage that we are getting. It needs to have the same look and feel of it.
Well, that's true, but I think that'll just leave it to what you guys do.
That could be phase 5 for all I care, but they need to look the same.
Okay, I wrote I wrote a note here in very large letters to remind me to talk about this with Sean, so.
Okay.
We'll get you guys an answer on that, and yeah, that would probably be a much later phase, since we're still waiting for a lot of the Heritage District to take shape.
Okay.
So for now, are we good on this sign?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next up, let's see, high-speed eastbound. We did, sorry, I'm getting off track a little bit. Okay, same intersection, and this is just navigating to golf course and the 6 Mile Creek.
Nope. I don't want 6 Mile Creek on there.
Hold on. Initially, you guys said you wanted to include trails, so if we're not going to include, if we are including trails, are we not including 6 Mile Creek? 'Cause I
It's in
don't,
Mecklenburg
We
County.
talked about that an hour ago.
It's in Mecklenburg County.
Yeah.
I'm not advertising for something that's in Mecklenburg County.
okay, I didn't have that written down, so let me,
No, you told me to put a pin in it because you didn't want to continue the conversation. Now we're talking about it again.
okay, remove 6 Mile Creek.
Yeah, because you got to do the golf course.
So this could be,
Not to turn, because you're turning there.
so if we don't have anything else on this sign, there is a small version of sign that just has one destination on it, so that could be just a much smaller
And we may
sign.
not even be able to put the golf course, so we may not have it anyway,
So this sign could be removed altogether, just depending.
just depending.
Yeah.
If we can have the golf course, we need to have it, and it needs to go there. But hold on, please, ooh, please. No, okay.
One person at a time.
We've got to stop interrupting each other, because people have a train of thought, let them get through it. If we can have the golf course on the sign, then that sign needs to be there. If not, then I don't want 6 Mile Creek on it. It's not in Marvin, it's not even in Union County. We can get rid of it.
So no 6 Mile Creek, period.
No, I don't want it. No, you told me to put a pin in
Okay,
it.
I just
Now
want
I'm
to
telling
make sure I have my notes down correctly.
Are there any advantages to getting them like this way to Charlotte, this way to South Carolina, like stop wasting time in our roundabout and get out of here? No, I mean, I'm like, like some people new to the area, they want to,
It's not a bad idea to have there.
I mean,
Yep, Charlotte to the right, South Carolina straight.
I mean,
was
is
the
it an
outcome of that
industry
argument?
standard to, is it industry standard to help people get to where they're going, of a large scale, like,
So I did actually ask this question to Sean, and he said, typically you don't want to put something on a sign that's going to encourage people to leave. Like, if you don't want to put something on a sign that's going to navigate people out of your community.
But we do.
We don't want to be a cut-through, too.
I'm afraid I'll get yelled at. Okay, here's a question.
makes a good
I
point.
like that, only because of right there, when you're going this way and that way, that's south and north, but also Marvin Road changes to South Carolina Marvin Road. So I don't think that's a bad idea whatsoever. And
very
if we have to
confusing.
have that sign with golf course on it, whatever, an extra sign, that to me makes that sign okay to put there. Golf course I didn't think we need to pay for a
Yeah.
sign that said golf course.
And there probably needs to be like Marvin Road goes this way and this way, because it stops being Newtown at that, is it at the line or there?
Wait a minute, it's Marvin Road, that's called Marvin Road in South Carolina?
Yeah, Marvin Road dead ends at 521 in South Carolina.
Marvin Road starts at the end of Newtown.
Good Lord. That's a new one on me. I didn't
No,
know.
there's two
So
Marvin
you're
Roads.
saying, you're saying this part of Newtown Road is called Marvin Road in South Carolina?
Yes.
If you come down 521 and turn at the Aldi and the QT and all that, that is Marvin Road.
So let me make sure I got my direction clear here. So we're removing 6 Mile Creek. If we can't put the golf course, we're having nothing there. But if we can't put the golf course, we're going to add South Carolina.
South Carolina this way, Charlotte this way.
I think it's probably really important. And I wouldn't get into the Marvin Road.
Or maybe North
of it all.
Carolina, or, no, because you're in
No,
North
I
Carolina.
just,
Charlotte.
Charlotte, it's Charlotte, because you're in Charlotte in a minute.
Okay, so we're good there. Let's keep it going. Last one in phase 2. Let me make sure that's the last one, actually. I'll make sure I didn't skip. Okay, I got it. Oh, God, what am I doing? Sorry, one more. One more in phase 2. This one is coming into Marvin off of Newtown Road. This is low speed westbound. And this one is going to advertise the park, Heritage District, and Village Hall, because you're already right at Publix here. So you wouldn't need to, if you were going to advertise shopping, there wouldn't even be a need, but we're not. So this one would just be navigating to the other side of Marvin with the park, Heritage District, and Village Hall. Good. Okay, cool. Okay, we're almost done. Phase 3. All right, who's ready for phase 3?
Not I said.
There's only 4 signs here, so we're really close. Low speed, southeast bound.
You should take the park off if we can only keep 3 and put Marvin Elementary School.
If
Because you're
only-
gonna have the park further down at the corner.
I thought nobody was gonna go to Marvin Elementary on Joe Carr.
Well, but if you're on Joe Carr, you need to know that you turn right to go to the elementary school.
And these phase 3 signs are good to have, but they're not essential to the system, especially since we're trying to keep traffic off of Joe Carr. So, are you guys okay with that? With removing the park and adding the elementary school onto this sign? Okay. All right, 3 more. Low speed, westbound. This is the mirror image of this one. It's the other end of Joe Carr. It's navigating to Golf Course, Heritage District, and Village Hall.
Okay.
You guys good? All right. Okay, low speed, westbound. This is the intersection of Bonds Grove and Waxhaw Marvin. That's where these last 2 are going to be. This is navigating to, we'll change that to Marvin Ridge Schools, the Village Hall, and the Heritage District. My question here is, do we want to, well, you really wouldn't want to put the park on here. Would you want to put the park on here? It's a little, you have to make a couple turns to get there, but no, I think,
No, because you have the park right at the high school.
yeah, you're right. You're right. That makes sense. Okay, so is everybody good with this?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the other side. I would like to include Village Trail. We do have parking for it.
I'm sorry, where?
The Village Trail,
Which sign?
previous sign that was at Joe Carr.
So the previous,
I'm just concerned we're not, now I understand the parking situation.
which trail do we want to navigate? What trail do we want to navigate to if we're going to include a trail?
Phase 2 or phase 3, we can cross that bridge down the road. But just generally speaking, I just think,
So how about when I talk to Sean, I can have him try to highlight the Marvin Loop Greenway and see where he can fit that in, if we really want to prioritize it.
Yeah, I mean, because you can get the loop, you can get the preserve internal trail from parking right here.
So this just label it trailhead parking, or?
Yeah, or I don't know. I'm not going to tell him, that's his job. But you can also get to the Tullamore Trails. If you park from here, you can walk. Again, it's a greenway, it's to be walked. So, I mean, you can put this as parking. And you can add, and then, you know, we are going to have some trailhead markers, because we've seen them multiple times. We can have those, but you can designate Village Hall as some sort of parking for that.
And I think that's a great idea.
Not my idea, that was Bob's idea.
Okay, so I've got that note, and I'll communicate that with Sean. All right. Regarding the sign that we're on right now, the low speed westbound at Bonds Grove, Waxhaw, Marvin, are you guys okay with Marvin Ridge Schools, Village Hall, and Heritage District?
Yep.
All right, so we have 1 sign left. Low speed southwestbound, same intersection, same content.
Yep.
All right, so that was a ton of information. I have 3 or 4 pages of notes to take back to Sean. We did denote the roundabouts on here, and that, because those will affect the arrows on the signs, whether they're curved or straight.
You might as well go ahead and have them put in a roundabout at Joe Carr and Marvin School Road
We sure can do that.
as they're just designing the signage for it. That way we'll have it whenever it comes.
And by the way, I checked, we cannot brand ourselves as the land of roundabouts. Some town has already taken that. Some town in, I think, Indiana has already taken that.
Which one?
So, like I said, we went through a lot there. Does anyone have any questions about anything we talked about, anything that you think we missed? The only thing I would bring up is that as we plan for the future, we'll just need to make sure that we consider additional destinations such as a farmer's market or an amphitheater.
I've got a couple of questions relative to the process, not specific to a sign.
Okay?
Kim, what are the tentative timetables for implementation? When the council talks about this and putting up phase one, what are we thinking about?
We need
It's going
money.
to depend on money.
We need money, a lot of money.
We are tentatively going out for a general obligation bond to finish up roads and to work on the trail system. This may be something that we throw in there. Wayfinding and branding, there's also grants that we can get. So honestly, it has to do with budgeting and, everybody thinks that we can just snap our fingers and, build something right away and do things right now. And I'm happy to do that, but we're going to raise taxes a lot. And I don't think anybody really wants us to do that. So we've got to find the money for it, and we don't have it right now. So we're going to look at alternate resources, alternate funding opportunities. Grants are one of them, but also if we go out for the GEO bond, this will probably be, not probably, we will absolutely look at the cost of this project in the phases and see if we can put that into the bond.
I think it was a general comment on my side. Once phase one's in, we can then, I think, talk about phase two with much more clarity. Because knowing what the signs look like, and you certainly don't want a lot of clutter. So, I appreciate all you've done, and I think what we're doing is terrific. I was just curious about the timing.
Yeah, and I would say this is a plan, right? This is a plan. It can change, it can be updated. That's kind of how we like to look at everything. And, new councils can come in and be like, we don't want to do anything. We're going to put it on a shelf. But we have a plan. We know what the implementation is going to look like. Timing-wise, we've got to find the money for it.
One thing I'll note, by the way, thank you, Bob. I appreciate the words of encouragement. I see these signs in my dreams sometimes.
Nightmares.
One thing I'll note is some of the grant opportunities, they're smaller grants, so we would probably have to get multiple. And whenever we get the plan back from Sean and Aaron, I'm going to talk to Aaron about some of those funding opportunities to see what we can do. If it's a smaller scale grant, something that doesn't require a lot of work in the application process, it'll be something that I can just take on as a side project when I have time. If it's something really in depth, we'd have to talk about contracting out to get something written. But yeah, Kim, please include that in the GEO bond. Again, thank you all for everything. This is a ton of notes to go through. I'll communicate with Sean. That'll be our action item. Does anyone have any comments before we adjourn?
I do have one. Can we agree that less is more? We want less signs, not more signs. I think we've said it, but we haven't said it. I just want it to be on the record.
Less is always more.
Yeah, and, because we don't want to clutter the place up.
Yeah.
But I want them to be able to find the park.
And keep in mind that these signs, like this is a plan. What we're going to be given at the end of this process is a plan. If I can ask Sean if he wants to, he kind of prioritizes these already through phases, like what's more and what's less essential. But if, for example, let me just pull a sign out of here. Let's say that You know, that two signs at the Waxhaw, Bonds Grove roundabout is overkill. We don't ever have to put those in. We can just rely on the sign that's by the Marvin Ridge schools. So just keep in mind that, yeah, less is definitely more, and if there's a sign that we really just don't think is necessary, we don't ever have to put it in.
Or the flip side of that, one that is kind of vital, or a couple that you really have to have these, or why did you bother, kind of thing. That would also be helpful. So maybe a little bit more, maybe more phases than less, right?
One last question. We were surveyed regarding the signs, the gateway signs,
Yeah.
which was the preference. What was the preference?
So I sent all that feedback to Sean, and generally, the wooden accents, it was the second row of signs. People picking different selections of that second row in the drawing with the wooden accents, the more park-looking signs, more similar in the ones that were closer to what the current park sign looks like, with those wood accents. That was what most people said. There was one other thing I was going to bring up. Anyone else have any comments, Mindy? Anything? It is March 13th.
I show that you're on vacation. Who's leading that meeting?
It's me. I'm here. I'm coming. I'm on vacation, but I'm coming in for like an hour and a half. It's more of a staycation, but that's what happens when you work in government. Will, any
Always go out of country.
I need the money to do that. Will, any comments?
Oh, I was just wondering, maybe we could even do one of those signs that they have up in Charlotte where it's got,
Make sure you're speaking on the microphone.
even having like one of those signs like they have in Charlotte, in Center City, where like this direction to Paris and this direction to,
Oh, something whimsical, kind of.
yeah.
You could do that in the historical section, for the kids, if
this-
they want to
this-
know where things
is
are.
this-
But that's not what we're going to do.
This Minnie
gonna do
Mouse
that right
to,
But now we're going to do Kim.
Have a Marvin
London.
Okay, all right. Any other comments?
Kim, Kim?
No.
One other thing I was going to point out is, I just forgot to bring this up. I know, Bobby, you were talking about funding. These signs cost anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 a piece. So it's going to be it would be a couple $100,000, and that does not include the gateways, which are the most expensive. That does not include the gateways. The gateways are the most expensive.
Now I know why Kim would like to do a bond.
Okay. So since everyone's had their comments, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting at 12:29 p.m.? Christina? Further discussion? All's in favor?
All right.
Adjourn. Thank you all.
Thank you, Austin.
Make sure you turn your mics off.